hello, hi. I wasn't going. It's 9:30 in the morning. This is important for what this video is. It's 9:30 in the morning. I wasn't gonna start this early, but my computer was being a pain in the booty, not loading anything, and then I went to restart it, and it went. Okay, let me update everything. So I can't do anything else right now, except to read. But I can't. I don't want to read until I start this, right? Because 24 hours. That's what it is. I read for 24 hours. As of the past year when I do these, I do sleep. This one I'm gonna try not to. So we'll see what happens. I do have a Red Bull that I forgot I put aside just for this video, like months ago. So the last Red Bull in the house. I've got plenty of coffee. Do not worry about that. My reward, listen, I normally go to bed sometime between 11:30 and midnight. So at around midnight, I plan to make nachos and do the Red Bull. And then that should hold me off for the rest of the night. We'll hope. I have plenty of books to read. I think this is also going to be a test to see if I'm right on what the best book to end one of these videos with is. Speaking of which, I've done multiple of these. There's a playlist up above in the cards. Sometimes there's themes. There was a theme where I just continued our finished series. There was one, the most recent one, where I did it with my sister, which was a fun time. And then this one, the theme is gay books. That's it. It's gay books because it's Pride Month. Bada bing, bada boom. I figured it was a good way to get a bunch of the gay books off of my TBR. I have so many books on my TBR, and then I go to do a video like this, and I have too many options, and I get option blindness. Is that what it's called? Hi, you want to join in on the video? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm wearing lipstick. You can't kiss me, and I can't kiss you. I'm sorry. My wap puppy. My little baby girl. Yes. Also, I think the part that's gonna be the hardest is I'm gonna want to be in bed because there's gonna be a bean in bed. It's not my bed, it's her bed, actually. I would like everyone to know this. But if I'm in bed, I'm gonna want to fall asleep. That's the issue. But we'll see. Things and stuff. The first book that we're gonna start with, I'm worried about this one. And a couple months ago, I DNF'd, I think it's called Saarland, by Rivers Solomon. Hopefully I got that right. Oh my god, I was right. It is Saarland by Rivers Solomon. Anyways, I DNF'd that book, and I think since then I've been kind of in the mindset of being DNFing books is okay for the past however long. Another option or example of this is Felix Ever After. Less so because I hadn't read by that author before, but like now, even if I've loved the author before, I'm fine with DNFing a book if I'm not into it. Like if it's giving a mid 3-star, I'm like, okay, like why do I want to spend 4 to 6 hours reading this when I could pick up something else? That's my current mindset. Oh my god, the computer's turning back on. I keep on keeping an eye on it. I think that's why I keep on turning my head. Anyways, that's why I keep on DNFing books recently, blah, blah, blah. And so the first book may be a DNF. I'm worried because, from what I understand, rereading the synopsis like 30 minutes ago, it is very, contemporary with a romance subplot. Also, the main character, from my understanding, is very unlikable for the most of the book, right? And I understand why. But that does not sound like something I enjoy. I don't like contemporaries, like straight contemporaries with maybe a romance subplot. Like those are not my thing, right? In general. And then also an unlikable main character, even like understanding why they would be like that. Like I can put the pieces together reading the synopsis, but still it's not like my type of thing, right? So there's a high chance I'm gonna DNF it. And I'm worried about this. I've read 3 Mason Beavers. the way I can't remember the name of the first one that everybody read. The Ghost We Keep, I rated 5 stars. The first Mason Deaver. Am I gonna have to look that up as well? I Wish You All the Best. That's what it is. I also love that one. I think I also rated that one 5 stars. And then Okay Cupid is one that I had an arc of. Always forget I had the arc of that one. That one's fine. That one felt more like an FT Lukens than a Mason Deaver. Anyways, this is like I have been so scared of this book because it's so not my style of book that I have gotten so behind on Mason Deaver's books. So this is me trying to catch up. And it follows. Let's see if I can remember this. It follows. No, I don't know if it's pronounced Niall or Neil. I won't know until I pull up the audiobook. Who is in a Friends with Benefits with Josh. And Josh, I literally just opening up on my Kindle, the first page is Josh saying, "I love you." Which makes a main character a little uncomfortable. I'm not into it like that, right? Down for the Friends with Benefits situation, nothing more, right? And so, Josh was supposed to be their date. I'm assuming they, them pronouns, because that seems to be a thing within Mason Deaver's, books. They were supposed to go to a wedding, together, and now they're not going together, but Josh is still going to this wedding, and so they need a date, and they need a date fast, and so, their roommate, I think Wyatt, becomes their date, and it's a lot of them being really rude to Wyatt, and then it says in the synopsis that once meeting their family and going back to their hometown at this wedding, understanding why, I'm clocking it's probably a lot of misgendering. Yeah, yeah. Understandable. I wouldn't enjoy reading it, but understandable, right? So I just think this is an example of a book not being written for me, and that's fine. I will just go pick up another book by Mason Deaver at a later point. They have so many. They have so many. Also, I'm gonna say it now. The Mason Deaver that was written for me, I've already read. The Ghost We Keep was written for me. I fear I kind of want to reread it now that my dad is. Well, my dad was already dead, but now both my parents are dead. You know, I want to read it again and to have it break that heart again for the third time. It's only made me stop 2 times. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, I think the Mason Deaver for me has already been written. I've already read it. I already love it. And so like, this just may be a thing where I stop. I don't think I'll stop reading Mason Deavers. I think I will still try because there's a good chance I'll enjoy them. I just think this one's not for me. Anyways, once realizing all this about Niall/Neil, why it's all like, oh, and then romance ensues. I do like the whole and they were roommates aspect. I love that. I'm not a big fan of friends to lovers. I'm assuming they're friends because they're roommates, but, and hear me out, I do like it when it's queer. I have come to the realization that friends to lovers, when it is the only time I like it. It is iconic then. One of my favorite contemporary romances, queer romances, contemporary queer romances / contemporary romances overall, is a friends to lovers. It is, I love it so much. So, I think, I don't know. It's a toss-up for me if I'll enjoy it. Oh yeah, we should also do a coffee update because I usually give an update of how much caffeine I'm drinking. We haven't started it yet, but I am like 5 sips into my first cup of coffee, which is a medium roast. So that's important because I have a is it heavy roast? That was the term. It's so strong. The first day I drank it, I was literally shaking violently. So I may be drinking that at 2 a.m. Exciting. I'll drink it as an iced coffee, let me tell you. Speaking of which, we're not talking about my hair on this whole entire video. It's humid as fuck. It's 84 degrees out already at 9:30 in the morning. But it's humid as F because it's supposed to rain starting at 4 p.m. So my hair's just doing its own thing and we're ignoring it, okay? We're we're actually happy about it because my allergies have been acting up. So if my face starts swelling up, that's why that happens, the allergies. Um, anyways, if I do DNF it, I do have multiple other audiobook options. I have another audiobook. I hilariously want to read that one. I will get into why I think I picked it up or put it on hold at the library. I don't remember doing it at a later point, but for similar reasons. Exact same reasons actually. I don't think I'll like that one, but I think it'll be hilarious to read that one while I make dinner. But I do have a Katie Robert that I could read. That's also an audiobook because I want to start with an audiobook ebook that I have like both of, so I can switch back and forth while I do stuff around the house, take care of the dog, the beast, the child, and try to make my computer work. It is on the home screen right now. It is working. Anyways, that is everything. I think that is all. I think we just have to press start and we'll start. I didn't want to start this until 10 a.m. so I had more time in the morning, but I guess not. Alas. Okay. You ready, kids? Ready? Hello, hi. We have about 20 hours left. I finished The Feeling of Falling in Love. Remember when I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna DM, I don't know. Listen, there are things that I didn't like, which are just things that I have issues with, especially in books like this, blah, 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 blah. I was right about the issues with his family, being pronoun based and whatnot. Also slightly homophobic at times. I love Wyatt for one particular part, and I'll talk about that in a second. Here's the thing. I forgot that Mason Davis was really great. I should have just respected the fact that they could handle it in a way that I would, even if I didn't enjoy certain parts, I could still overall enjoy the story and have a good time reading it. So, you know how it is. 4 stars. How dare my Kindle reset my settings so it doesn't show all my books and collections. I need the collection so I can find one particular book in one of my 2 owned folders. I didn't know I had 2 Anasones. We'll talk about that. Anyways, yeah, it's good. You may notice that I used Nile. Yes. I think. Or was it Neil? I literally just finished. I think it was Nile. No, it was Neil. Because I feel like if it was Nile, they would have made a One Direction joke at one point, because there was stuff about how Wyatt started playing guitar because of One Direction. But not. So it's Neil. Neil is trans. And so he, him pronouns. But Wyatt, like 3/4 of the way through the book, starts talking. They have like a conversation before this about sexual identity, and then Wyatt brings up the whole aspect that they don't know how they feel about gender identity though. That's like a whole other issue, right? And so because not Neil, there we go. Neil is the closest person they have in their life who is trans and knows what it feels like to have gender dysphoria and knows about this stuff, and whatnot, goes and explains to Neil how they feel. And at one point Neil does say like that sounds kind of non-binary, but if you don't want to label it, that's fine, and whatnot. And it sounded very non-binary mixed with gender fluid, right? And how Wyatt wants Neil to start using they them pronouns for Wyatt, but nobody else yet, and all this stuff. So I will use the right pronouns for you from now on, Wyatt. Thank you very much. I didn't know that beforehand. Anyways, book, good book. The plot is essentially what I said already. A lot of Neil's issues with romance and not understanding one, he's kind of rude to everybody, including Josh, when Josh breaks it up with it. Listen, I get Josh was upset because, like, he's in love with this guy, and they were having a whole situationship, right? And then, it gets angry when Neil is like, no, like, we had a deal about this whole relationship, right? That this was gonna be friends with the benefits. That's it. They even have this rule that if one of them started to catch feelings, they tell the other one so they can break it off clean without any of that happening. And instead, Josh really just corners him with it and gets really angry, and then tells everybody that Neil betrayed him and all this stuff, and gets really dramatic. And I get that he was hurt. I get this. But also, Neil, maybe it's because we're in Neil's head throughout the book, so I understand where Neil's coming from more. But Neil set some solid boundaries, and then it's a lot of people just pushing past these boundaries, right? And I think that's why the relationship with Wyatt works so well, is because even if, like, why there's one part where he has a panic attack and physical touch is too much for him, so he tells Wyatt to stop touching him, and he's like, okay. Right? Like, that's their relationship. So yeah, no, it's like, it's this whole thing where it's very much Josh pushing against his boundaries, and it made me uncomfortable a little bit. And then afterwards, he goes to, like, hang out with a friend group that Josh is also a part of, and he feels kind of like an outsider already because there's like a whole bunch of background information that I don't want to get into, right? But him and Josh kind of knew each other before moving to this school. This is private school, right? And they kind of knew each other, and so Josh was like, here, let me introduce you to a bunch of other queers, right? Here's all the other fruits. The only one I like, Sam. I mean, we only get one scene with the rest of them, I'm gonna be honest, in which it's like that night, and they all like berate him with questions and are blaming him and are like saying a bunch of stuff to him, and it made me very uncomfortable. And he put down boundaries of like, let's not bring this up anymore. And then they all get super drunk and like berate him even more. And it's like, no. And then he's like, I'm leaving. And then they're like, oh, whoops, sorry. And he kind of made me upset. I say that, but Sam I do like. They do seem to have a closer bond, because Sam is the other one who is a trans gay white man. So they have an understanding with each other, right? And whatnot. That was like the one thing that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And then the other thing is a lot of his relationship with his mother, who they are very Hilton. Just picture Hilton. Apparently, his mother's side of the family, they got all their money because they owned a hotel chain, right? And so they're super rich. So imagine if Paris Hilton had a younger sibling who was trans. That's it. Essentially, when he came out, his mother did immediately like take charge and take him to get like gender affirming care and all this stuff, which is sweet, kind. We love that, and all this stuff. But also, the main issue here is her parents constantly misgender and uses dead names for Neil. And she is literally standing there at one point just letting it happen, right? And at one point, listen, this is where we get to talk about how my favorite part about Mason Devers is, in a very short period of time in these characters' lives, they make it so everything is boiling to a point, like so much is happening that it's like the pressure cooker gets too hot, it gets too much, and then the main character explodes, and there's this big showdown of emotion and conversation and whatnot. And that happens at one point in which it's basically explained that the mother, like, in public did all the right things, like helped their child with gender affirming care, and is big with trans groups, and looks like the perfect mother, right? But in private, like, can't support their own child, like that whole situation. And he is rightfully angry about it. And from what I understand, didn't go deep into it, but there's like some shit between the parents that went down their divorce. That's like part of the reason why he thinks he doesn't deserve love, and the other reason is because literally they started getting in trouble all the time, trying to get attention from his mother, and the solution was to ship him off to private school. So yeah, that makes feeling love a little difficult for him. Understandable. Anyways, like obviously the two parents, the father's the worst, but like also is this whole thing where like even the brother is all like, you should like apologize. She's like she's not the best mother, but she's the parent who stepped up, blah blah blah. And Neil has to be like, you're like almost a decade older than me. You weren't there. You don't understand what it's like, right? This whole situation. And when the blow up happens afterwards, a bunch of people make comments with Neil being all like, it just made this whole thing feel a little, it felt a little icky. That's what I'm gonna say. It felt a little icky. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Cause like, yeah, she does deserve slack, or she does, is that the word? I don't think so. She deserves words. She deserves some harsh words. Not the ones that Neil said, because that was heat of the moment, words. But like, some words were deserved. And her whole excuse is like, well, like, you've seen how my parents are, and I'm afraid of them. Bitch! Bitch! Yeah. Also, there's like this whole thing where it's never explained why. Like, after the whole blow up, I don't understand why this never came up again about how, his paternal grandparents, were actually very supportive and whatnot, and they, like, weren't allowed to see each other anymore after he came out. Like, that was, like, this whole thing. And I think it has to do with the divorce, but I'm not sure. And it's a little icky. Like, the only reason he was able to see them again is because his grandfather was dying. Right? Like, anyways. Also, another reason I hate, Josh. Listen, I'm gonna say, I'm willing to bet money, Mason Deaver, did this on purpose. The way that Mason Deaver writes, I'm willing to bet money, Mason Deaver did this on purpose. But, the talk after, the breakup, right? Josh makes a comment that felt a little transphobic. I don't think he meant it that way, but it's kind of one of those things that you say and you're just like, my dude, you see how that can be taken, right? Like, in which he says, the reason why Neil can't be in love with him or isn't in love with him and all this stuff and doing all this is because, Neil can't make up his mind. You see what I'm putting down? Anyways, yeah, the rest of it was good soup. I liked it. It was a good book. I like Mason Deaver's writing. I should remember this. I think I have two more. Well, two more counting the one that comes out this year. So that's fine. I think that's all I have to say. I mean, there was the airport scene, but the airport scene is the one thing about this book that I had heard about before picking it up. So that was fun. But other than that, it was a good book. The end, I'm gonna talk about, I think it's called Saving Mia. Here's the thing. There's one sapphic, kind of smutty romance author that I love, and that's Anna Stone. Okay? And I was going through my collections on Kindle, and I saw that I owned one of her books, and I went, well, I knew I owned one because I had already read it, but this was a different one, and so I was like, oh, I should pick that up. Right? And then, I decided this would be the perfect video to do that. Here's the other thing. I gotta find it so I know I'm saying the right name. After I finished the Mason Deaver, I was going through, to see what album it was on or collection it was on my Kindle, so I was going through on my phone, and I have another Anna Stone. I didn't know about that. I'm gonna stick with Saving Mia. I hope that's the name of it. That's the other Anna Stone. What is this Anna Stone I want to read? There it is. It is called Saving Mia. Let's go. Saving Mia is about, I'm gonna assume her name's Mia, who is in a bunch of debt. I think medical bills for her sister, and the loan sharks are gonna come after her soon. So she has to auction the only thing she has left, and that is herself. A CEO buys her for 30 days, and chemistry happens. I'm gonna be honest. Listen. I didn't clock in my head that Anna Stone, some of her books definitely count as dark romance until somewhat recently. I think it's like Entreat Me or something like that. The first one of hers that I read. No, Tangled Vows. That's what it is. Tangled Vows is the first one of hers I read, in which a CEO, female CEO, has to. She usually writes billionaire romances where one of them's like a female CEO, and then the other one's somebody who is on the fence of middle lower class to lower class, right? And how they had a fake marriage thing with a prostitute, and that was like a whole thing. So fun times. Anyways, if I'm gonna like a book like this, because everything about this is so not my speed, but the only people I trust with writing a book like this are Anna Stone and Katie Robert. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go read it. It's gonna be a good time. I don't know how long it is. I have not checked. I should have checked that before I turned off the Kindle. I'm expecting to read it fast, right? 262 pages. I can finish that before dinner time, because it's just 2 o'clock now, so I can do that before dinner time. And then start the one that I'm 100% sure I'm going to DNF. You may be like, why are you picking it up? Just in case. Just in case, okay? You don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go do that. Until later. Hello, hi. First off, caffeine update. I did finish the first coffee, and I drank a Dr. Pepper. Before the last time we talked, I forgot to do the update. This is an iced tea. It's black tea with maple syrup. Delicious. Time. We have 15 and a half hours left. And I finished saving Mia. So we get to talk about that. And also the one that I think I'm gonna DNF. Because it's my dinner time. I'm starving. Also, I forgot to bring up in the intro that, like, part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I'm, like, 43 books behind on my reading goal. Almost at, like, 5,500 pages. Now it's, like, 5,200. Because, between the 2 books so far. And that's great. Anyway, saving Mia. Essentially everything I said already. As you can expect, a girl with chronic heart issues to the point where she needs a heart replacement, a heart transplant. In and out of the hospital. The heart transplant itself costs a lot of money. Single parent household because dad died. Trying to work as a nurse at a senior home, which is a hard enough job already. On top of like trying to keep bills, right? And so the main character goes, hey, a friend at work was like, hey, I know this guy who can get you money. It's a loan shark. And so it takes out a bunch of money to get from the loan shark to pay off the medical bills and some other bills. And then he comes asking for money. And so then she decides to sell off her virginity. That's a whole thing. That a whole aspect. And then Cassandra's the one. One part that I found very funny is that, rightfully so, probably, Mia assumes that the person who bought her is a man, and the only name they give her of the person is Lee, because Cassandra is Korean. Cassandra Lee. I found that really funny. Anyways, so essentially it was like supposed to be like this thing that she was doing to protect Mia from like the damage that she went through herself. There's this whole other side plot, right, on top of the romance. So like originally was supposed to be like to protect and save her, like she wished somebody had done for her. And then in the meantime, she decides in the moment to do like the live with me for a month, be my submissive for a month, and then afterwards you can go. with your $2 million. $2 million. You mean I could have sold out for $2 million? Anyways, so then, I say that like, I'm not a redhead with hazel eyes. I don't have what Hazel has. So, anyways, or don't have what Mia has. What did I say? I don't have what Hazel has. Hazel is the color of her eyes. Anyways, so, that is the plan, and then of course feelings happen. There's this whole side plot, where, Cassandra's whole dark past is that, she had very religious, parents, and so the moment when, one, they knew that their daughter was having sex, but two, their daughter was having sex with another girl, oh my god, it became very, instead of controlling, abusive, so she goes on the run, right, ends up in the claws of Diane, aka, Belladonna, who, basically runs a prostitution ring, kind of, in the underworld, and then uses the girl, like, the evidence of the girls she's being sold to these men, as blackmail for a bunch of politicians and businessmen and whatnot, right? Because it would look bad to the public, let alone your wife, that you slept with this 20-year-old, right? And so, that's what she does with girls in need, like Cassandra. And that was her original plan, but then she noticed something in Cassandra, and she went, you know what? I'm keeping her for myself. And so it's essentially 5 years of abusive relationship. And eventually, Cassandra, so she was, like, grooming Cassandra to, like, part of her manipulation to keep Cassandra around was, to groom her to, help her in the business, right? And so Cassandra, with the knowledge of all the business stuff, goes, okay, takes her secret book of all her secret dealings, anonymously gives it to the police, steals a bunch of her money, like, enough to live on for a good while, like, enough to go to college and start up her own business, right? and then, by the time, Diane figures out what the hell is happening, she's being arrested and sent to prison for 15 years, which is wild, and then, literally the day that this book starts is the day, like, the day that Mia moves into her place is the day that, Diane is released early from prison. And the person she's going after, of course, is Cassandra, so it's, like, this whole thing. Literally, the ending is, like, these three women, battling out as, one of them sets the building on fire with all three of them in it. Wild, it went crazy near the end. Also, I don't think, I assume the loan shark is part of a mob boss or mafia or something of the sort, right? I don't care who the fuck he is. At one point, he sells, Mia's debt to Diane, right? So Diane can own Mia to make it part of her plan of revenge, right? And apparently, in the epilogue, he decided to forgive her debt. And it was, like, described as being in the 6 digits by that point. Which makes sense, because I'm pretty sure a heart transplant would be, like, 100K itself. So, yeah. I assumed at least close to half of her money was going to be, pay off those debts. And then her mother's credit card bill. And then, whatever's left to send her sister to college. In 2 years, right? You know, instead he forgave it because he felt bad because he gave her to Diana. And then Diana kidnapped and tried to murder her. And everybody knows this because this is why Diana's going back to jail. Except Diana's covered in third degree burns, so she's currently stuck in the hospital for a little bit. Yeah, no, that's just a whole thing that happened in this book. Anyways, 3 stars. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite Anna Stone by far. I think Tangled Vows still is, like, my favorite. I really hope that's the actual name of the book now that I'm thinking about it. Anyways, now we get to talk about the book that I think I'm going to DNF. I seriously thought I picked up this book, or put this book on loan, or at hold on the library, because I thought it was, like, it totally seemed like a book that one of the 2 podcasts I'm really into right now would have talked about. And then I went and checked, and no. I'm assuming it was just on one of those random, it's Pride Month now, so here's a list of Pride Month horror books. I did, like, screenshot a few, so I assume this is one of those. Yeah, and it's supposed to be, like, a queer horror. It's a Carmilla retelling, which I love. I love Carmilla, right? So for that reason, I think I'd like it. Except, it's giving, the synopsis is giving a Diary of Blood. It's giving somebody read a Diary of Blood and went, oh, I can do that for Carmilla. And Diary of Blood wasn't my favorite. I had some issues with it. Like, I get why it has all its praise, and I did like it. I just had some issues with it, right? And so, taking that, and then putting it onto another book, another similar book, that's already queer. Like, the book is already queer. We don't need a queer retelling. It's already queer, right? And then, so, like, what's the point of doing a retelling? And then, also, on top of that, I say that, but I'm pretty sure S.T. Gibson also has a Carmilla retelling that I want to read at some point. But on top of that, a lot of, from what the synopsis, I can tell it's stuff that I don't like to read, and also, it's longer than both the original Carmilla, which is fine. That book's pretty short. The audiobook's like 4 hours of that one. I think this one's like 12 hours, right? But also, it's longer than A Diary of Blood, which is pretty much the maximum of what I could handle for that book. So, we'll see. We'll see. If I do like it, it will become my 2 a.m. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. I'm gonna play a gruesome video game to stay awake and listen to it at the same time book. I have another book to do instead for that, but I will do that one. I will listen for that one. If need be. I think the audio was like 12 hours. I don't understand why. I like Carmilla as much as the next bitch, but why? Why? Anyways, that's the plan. I'm gonna go pick that up while I make my dinner, which is pasta and pesto that I bought. I bought the pesto. I also bought the pasta. I didn't make the pasta by hand. I'm not that fancy. Mostly because I'm running low on flour. I make my own bread. Okay, isn't that enough? Anyways, that's dinner. And that's it. I'm not doing anything fancy tonight. I knew myself. I was like, I'm not doing anything fancy tonight. Especially since I want to have nachos. And I can have those at, like, midnight, 2 a.m. So. But I gotta go pre-grate a bunch of cheese. So, I'm gonna go do that. Goodbye. And drink my tea. And play with my puppy, who is scared of the thunderstorm. You missed the thunderstorm. There was a thunderstorm. It was very loud. My love was scared. She jumped and hid underneath my legs. It was very cute. I don't understand how a 90-pound dog hid under my legs, but she did. Alright, we're updating here because things I want to say. Wait, I should give you the time, man. 14:24. I read like 45 minutes of the audiobook. I don't remember how much it is. I'm DNFing. Part of the reason, okay, one of the things I needed to be here, because I wanted to talk about the whole, hey, how queer is it? Let me just list off in order. Genres, according to Goodreads: horror, vampires, gothic, fantasy, historical fiction, queer. Okay, it takes, until the 6th one. You need both gothic and vampires first. Anyways, okay, I needed to find a specific review, because sometimes what happens when I'm like this with a book, where I'm like, I don't think this is for me. I go and look at reviews to see, whether or not certain aspects of the book are going to be worth it for me, specifically the Carmilla aspect. My opinions is not. From what I've read, Carmilla isn't even here. I haven't read Carmilla yet. But from what I've read, and I'm really sad about this because this cover is gorgeous. I think the Carmilla aspect is for marketing. In fact, I think if you just erase Carmilla, it could sell really well to a certain audience. But instead, what is happening is it's being marketed as a Carmilla retelling, and so us bitches who love Carmilla are picking up and going, oh, wait a second, this isn't Carmilla. And either they're liking it enough to still give it like a 4, or they're going, bitch, what the hell is this? This isn't Carmilla, and giving it a lower rating. So, you know, good times. And so because of that, I looked at reviews, and there was one that had this specific term I was trying to think of for this book, and they had it in it. So I needed to find that review and then that exact sentence so I could highlight that exact term so that I could say it in a minute. Anyways, this follows Lenore. Yes. Lenore, who is 30. This is my main issue. This is why I can go, this isn't Carmilla. Bitch, okay, I've read Carmilla at least 3 times. I don't know how many times on top of my head, 3 or 4 times, okay? Last time has been pretty recently. Like, not within this year, but definitely in, I think it was in October I read it. So definitely recently. Back in the day I had a podcast, I did a whole entire analysis of the book for the podcast. And I didn't even go into deep into it as much as I would want to now. Like, I like doing class analyses of classics. That I have fun doing that, okay? Hear me out. The whole reason why Carmilla's plan works is because, like, yes, she wants to, like, it's supposed to be, like, taking, the youth and beauty from young girls, but also, like, the whole reason why her whole plan, why the whole book works is because she's targeting lonely, like, 14 to 16-year-old girls. The main character's 30. What? Lenore, she has essentially a sex dream with a vampire. Female vampire, in the first chapter. And so it's definitely giving at least bisexual, maybe sapphic, vibes. So that's great. Anyways, yeah, no, she like, she's 30. She knows things about the world. She is described as beautiful, right? Youthful. She has been married for 10 years to this bitch, here's reason one why I didn't think this book was going to be for me. First up in the tags is on Storygraph is historical. Similarly why I don't like contemporaries, but historical, I don't like them. Hello, hi, I'm back. I had to take a break to help with the potato debacle of 2026. That is canonically what my sister called it. She called me because her boyfriend didn't believe we used to grow potatoes. Essentially. And so that became 10 minutes of my life. Anyways, I was talking about how I don't like historical books that are just, like, historical first, like contemporaries. I have the same issue with historical romances sometimes, too. You know, the good old homophobia, sexism, all that stuff. If I want to deal with that, I'd leave my house, right? But, at least with romance books, there's, like, another aspect in it. This one is definitely historical first. I mean, I guess there's the gothic vibe, but part of the gothic vibe is the sexism, right? Like, how her husband looks down upon her because all she does is run their house. Anyways, a positive, I do like how it's written. I do really like how it's written. The book starts with, her period has started, essentially, and how, her whole life has been about blood, since she was 12 years old, and her period started, and, how, she doesn't even mourn it anymore, because they don't have any children. She doesn't even mourn it anymore, she's numb to it now, all this stuff, and, like, I can see what's being set up here for the Carmilla stuff. I don't think it's gonna be well done, in my opinion. So I don't want to read it. It's gonna be like a low 3 max. Like, I don't want to read that. Anyways, another thing I don't like, the term that I had to look up in this review. Why is my mouse sticking to my keyboard, or not keyboard, desk so much? The term I had to look at this review for the term of, because I, like, knew that it was a thing that I didn't like, and I knew it was a thing, and I was just going to talk about Night Bitch and a few others in comparison, right? And that is, unhinged woman. You know that trend? I don't like that. It's not my thing. I can see very clearly how people enjoy it. I just personally don't want to read 200-ish minimum pages of a woman going through abuse. This one includes, forced institutionalization, that word is so hard for me to say, according to Storygraph, right? And all this stuff. Her husband, controlling her life, and all this stuff. for it to become Unhinged Woman in the end and get her revenge. Like, that's not satisfying to me. Right? Like, reading that for so long is not satisfying to me. And I'm gonna bring up A Diary of Blood again, because that's the only other queer vampire classic retelling that I've read, right? And I should really look up what S.T. Gibson's Carmilla retelling is like, because now I'm intrigued. I'm worried and intrigued. I should look that up now. I think it's called Malice, if I'm gonna be honest. So watch me actually get that right. Education of Malice. You know what? I'm pretty fucking close. I'm pretty proud of myself. I had one word. Yeah, see, I don't see historical in the thing. Yeah, see, this one, she's a teenager. She's, like, in school. And as far as I can tell, it's contemporary. Anyways, the comparison that I was gonna say, that is, everything that I said that I don't like in this is a thing, or don't like in general, is a thing in Diary of Blood. I know this. Here's my thing. One, Diary of Blood, much shorter. I don't remember how long the audiobook was, but I definitely read it very fast, okay? 2, it wasn't like 10.5 hours long like this one. 2, the whole, I could see the threads that S.T. Gibson was doing, the threads, and stuff that S.T. Gibson was doing, with it, the meanings of stuff, all that fun stuff. And then on top of that, there were other things happening, kind of, like, when it started to become stale, when it started to become too much, when I was just like, what's the point of me reading this, right, is when they brought in another character, that really mixed up the whole dynamic of their poly square, I guess, technically. Yeah, I guess that would be right. And whatnot. And that's when things started to change and hype up and all this stuff. And that's when the unhinged woman type thing happened, except one of them is a man and it's 3 of them together. Like, that whole aspect, it was done in such a way where I could stand it. The end. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. The writing was good. I would read another book by her. Excuse me, as I see what other books Kat Dunn has written. If Kat Dunn wrote something that was not basically unhinged woman story, I would probably eat it up. I did see a couple of reviews that also didn't like Hungerstone. Talking about Bitterthorn and how they liked it. So I checked what Bitterthorn is, and one, historical isn't in the list of tags, right? Also, lesbian is the second thing tagged. And it seems much more my vibe. So I'm going to put it on my, hey, look into this more, and say, oh my god, it came out on my birthday 3 years ago. I'm old. I'm so old. Anyways, I'm not as old as Lenore, though. I'm still too old for Camilla. The original, thank you very much. But, anyways, it seems interesting. It seems like something I could like. And somebody I trust says that the romance is really good. So I will put it in my, hey, this is something that you should look into further. Okay, thanks, bye. I don't know what to tell you. I have weird folders for things. Listen, I do plan to do a video at one point of going through all of them. So it makes sense. Because I did really like her writing. Her writing was really good. Now, next up. I don't know what to do next. I think next, I need something fun. I think I need something fun. I was gonna do a horror. I have a Chuck Tingle horror. I mean, Alice. Traditionally published books are horror. I have a Chuck Tingle down on my Kindle. I was gonna pick up next, but I think I need something fun. And so I'm going to read the second book of the Murderbot series. Is it like artificial Murderbot Diaries? That's what it's called, the Murderbot Diaries. I want to say it's like artificial intelligence or something like that is the name of the book that I thought was the name of the series. Second one, I actually know what this one is, so I'm gonna tell you about it now. It is about a guy living his life. No, it's about a robot, who is mask presenting, because that's how they are built, but they use they, them pronouns for themselves, so they, them pronouns, is what we will be using. Thank you very much, Murderbot. I almost said Mr. Murderbot. Muderbot is essentially a security droid, but some time ago, one of their last jobs, something went haywire in their programming that was supposed to stop them from just going off and killing people. Something wrong in that. And they went off and killed a bunch of people, and it caused a bunch of issues. And so instead of like destroying the robots when this happens, because they cost a lot of money to build, right? Instead they essentially like wipe the programming and start from the beginning, because that's a lot cheaper. I get it from a business side. Anyways, somehow Murderbot remembered this. And went, hey, hot take, I don't trust that programming. Because it went haywire last time. And so hacks into their own programming. And so they just out here vibing. They're essentially trying to keep it a secret from humans, because if humans find out, they can turn them in, right? And then they get erased again and essentially kills them. It happens to when the first book is happening, they are doing a job for a bunch of scientists who humanize him. The humans humanize them a little too much. A little more than they'd like. Anyways, that's essentially the first one is them trying to protect them, as there's a bunch of like political espionage with science happening. Weird. I don't know what the second one is about. I just know I love Murderbot. Okay, Murderbot, in their free time, found a trashy TV show they really love. It has hundreds of hours, so they downloaded all of it. And so whenever they have like mindless tasks that they need to be doing, or they're like waiting for like something to happen, you know what they're doing? They're watching it. They're secretly watching it the whole time. Iconic. That is me. That is me, called a Murderbot. I saw a post recently on Threads where somebody was like reading one of the later books and realized, like, as they were reading it, like this whole time, as they were reading the books, were like, I'm totally human Murderbot would be fine with, because like I'm so cool. Right? Like, I just want Murderbot to like me, and I'm not like other humans. And then in realizing that one particular book, realized, oh my god, that's how I would react too, or that's what I would do too. Oh my god, I'm just like another human. Murderbot would hate me. And that is exactly how I feel. I love Murderbot, and I just want them to live their lives. I think they're essentially on the run right now, from the company and humans in general. Because spoilers of end of second book, things happen. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not actually gonna spoil it. Anyways, it's like under 200 pages. I was gonna wait to read this one around midnight, because when I read the first one, I think it was like 10 p.m. when I picked it up, and I finished it before midnight. I like couldn't put it down. But I just need something fun. And if I can, listen, they're all on Kindle Unlimited right now, and I have Kindle Unlimited. I'll just download the next one and just continue to do that. What if I just read all the Murderbot books? Watch me actually do that. I do want to recap Damascus. That's the Chuck Tingle. I want to recap Damascus, though it is fitting for a video next week if I say that the only Chuck Tingle I've read is Warrior Gaze. So I guess I can wait on Camp Damascus. I'll be sad about it, but I'll wait a few days. Anyways, I'm gonna go read this book. I'm actually really excited. This is a great decision for me to DNF Hungerstone, because I am way more excited to read about this Murderbot. who calls themselves Murderbot. They gave themselves the name Muderbot. That's iconic. I wish I was that cool. Muderbot. Just, we love Muderbot, okay? Anyways, goodbye. I'm gonna go read that. It's gonna take me like 2 hours, maybe 3. Yeah. And then I can wash my hair. That's what I'll do after I finish it, because I do need to do that. Because the humidity is so bad. I think I explained to my sister, it was like 90 degrees today with a humidity of 70%. And it's just on and off raining since like 3:30. So for 4 hours, I'm dying. My skin needs to be just stripped off at this point. So, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. After I read my good old Muderbot, and then maybe I'll read another Muderbot. And maybe I'll just read Muderbot. There's plenty of books. Also, one of the prequel novellas I own because my sister got it for me. So, I could also read that. I'm just gonna read a lot of Muderbot. That sounds like a fun time, actually. Oh, hi. Trying to label a book as read on Goodreads made my computer sound like a plane taking off, and I'm too perturbed to wait for it to shut up. We have 10 hours there. I finished, I want to say artificial intelligence, but it's the artificial something else. You know, construct. That? No, I don't know. 4 stars. I rated the first one 4.5. For comparison, I think the thing I liked is that the first half-ish, for the first one, it made sense because it was setting up the first book in the series, right? But a similar thing happened with this one where it was, it felt like it was set up, it was very slow, and then things started speeding up around halfway through, especially because around that point is when shit starts hitting the fan, and we get to see how Muderbot does their thing, and I love that. Anyways, this one is essentially Muderbot goes back. You know how I talked about how, Muderbot, killed a bunch of humans because something went wrong, with their programming? Yeah, he's going back to where that happened, to figure out what the hell happened on art, which, I forget, it was like research, transport. Don't ask what the A stands for in the synopsis. A stands for asshole because it's actually like super intelligent and very rude. So that's the name that Muderbot gives it. Anyways, essentially, in order to get to the area, they need a worker's permit, and so in order to get a worker's permit, they take a security job from a bunch of like 20-year-olds who had their intellectual property stolen from a company by like a big company, and are doing suspicious things. Trying to set up a meeting. Yeah, the company trying to kill them. And hear me out. There were 2 vibes I got. One, there was another bot, which is essentially, they call them comfort units, but they're essentially sex bots, who was wanting to go rogue, and at the end of it, Muderbot turns off their programming that makes it so like overlords can control, right? Like they can control their own actions now. So I was like, wait a second, is Muderbot gonna start an android uprising accidentally by doing this? And then that, especially since like Murderbot's picture has been sent through as like as a rogue unit now. So that's, yeah, Muderbot is known as being a rogue unit now, and is going off doing rogue unit things, right? And trying to hide their identity, but also like they're helping out people in need for like very low prices. And like technically, yes, it was to get into this area, but like once they accept the job, they go above and board to help out, to the point where like they feel really bad when they can't do everything for them, and then more shit happens and they're able to help out even more, but blame themselves for not doing a perfect job because one of them got slightly injured, right? Like, and it becomes this thing where Muderbot can now accept their own jobs, and Muderbot doesn't need food for like you know, food or anything like that. Barely needs an atmosphere, okay? So like it can take the cheap jobs, do a really good job, help out people in need. I'm questioning if Muderbot is going to do a Robin Hood-esque, helping those uh, in lower standing get stuff back from the companies that steal from them, or how about the people in lower standing, and then that helps with the whole image thing where people think they're like, will that help with the Android uprising that's gonna possibly happen? Because the leader be Murderbot being like, I don't want to lead anybody, I just want to be Murderbot and watch my trashy TV, which fell same. And then public image is really good though, because they have helped all these people and whatnot. I don't know. In case I don't know why somebody wouldn't count Murderbot as being queer. Even though at one point there's like, to get the job they have to do a social media profile, and for their pronouns, essentially it's sci-fi version of putting down they them. And then another one of the people who hire them does pronouns is like space fantasy they them, but it's like te or tay, something similar to that, right? So hear me out. That, but also the kids who hire them, right? One of them has 2 moms, and their whole compound group, family group they're from, is a polyamorous group of like 8 adults with like 5 children or something like that. That's so gay. Like, thank you very much. That's gay. Thank you very much. I'm moving on. Anyways, what do I read next? Right? Hear me out. 2 books that were not planned, I put on hold in the past 40, one of them yesterday, one of them today, both came in. And I may pick up one of them next. It is 1:35 p.m. I should mention this. It is 1:35 p.m. I'm gonna go make my nachos and drink my Red Bull because I'm starting to get sleepy. Because this is my normal bedtime. Yeah, my normal bed time. Also have to run the dishwasher, but I can't run the dishwasher until after I take a shower. So I gotta do that, and I don't want to do that until after I eat the nachos because I'm gonna get all gross from the nachos, right? This is how it makes sense in my brain. Anyways, after doing that, I think I'm gonna pick up one of the ones that just came in from the library. Nobody look at me. Because I'll explain. Things we have gone worse since we last spoke, and Other Misfortunes is a short story collection. I think it's like 3 short stories of horror, by Eric LaRocca, I believe. I have the title one, Things Have Gone Worse Since We Last Spoken, or something like that. Whatever it was. I already turned off my Kindle, I can't check. That one I have read before. And I did look at the chapter index, and it doesn't say which one it is. And all I remember is that there was a thing with an apple peeler. And I remember most of it I wasn't the biggest fan of, but then that happened and I was like, so I'm expecting the horror of it to keep me awake. And that's my plan for the foreseeable future, and then we'll do the last one. I think this is gonna be the penultimate one, and then the last one, which is the one that I figured is gonna be the best one to end off with. This one also could count for that because I have one thing in common. They're both short story collections. That's what it is. I'll explain why the other one when I get to it. But that's it. That's everything. I'm gonna go make my nachos. I'm so hungry. This is the issue with doing this. I have so much caffeine and I'm using so much brain power that I'm like, I need more food. And I want it. I want my nachos. The end. Goodbye. I will talk to you later. About a horror book that probably grossed me out. The end. Can you tell the sun's starting to come up? I say that. It's like starting to become not pitch black outside. Clearly I washed my hair. I wish I was in bed. Okay, here's the thing. Post washing my hair, I did climb into bed and read about half of the book, a little over half the book, maybe 2/3. I think that's closer to what I read, yeah. But then I started to like feel like I was falling asleep. Also, by the way, I have like 3 sips of my Red Bull left. And so I went, okay, I'm not gonna stay in bed. I'm gonna get up because if nothing else, this chair is uncomfortable enough where I can't fall asleep in it, right? Since then, I've had my second win. Here we are. Hi. I still wish I was in bed. Why am I up at 5 a.m.? It's about to become 5 a.m. It is actually exactly 4:58 p.m. Why is it about to become 5 p.m.? And I am still wearing a bra. I'm not happy about this. I wish I wasn't. I want to be in bed with my dog. She was so cute. Picture. I took many pictures. She was looking like a beast, and then I texted them to somebody, and they went, it's 2:30 there. What are you doing up awake? What book are you reading? The 4.5-ish hours left. Great, lovely, love that. I'm expecting in about 2 to 3 hours, I'm gonna feel like I'm dying again. So excited for that. Good news is when that happens is going to be the time when I have to like walk the dog, feed the dog, take care of the dog, and then I'll have like maybe 30-40 minutes left, and then it's done. So, and then I can go to bed. I was contemplating doing stuff instead of going to bed immediately. Well, I'm gonna go to bed immediately. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Because like in theory I should stay up a little more, like have coffee around a normal time for myself so I don't have a migraine later on, and whatnot, and try to have a somewhat normal sleep schedule tomorrow night or tonight, I guess. But who cares? Things have gotten worse since we last spoken, and other misfortunes. The first one was things have gotten worse since we last spoken. Okay, or last spoke. Which is the one I have read before. I'm trying to check what I rated it. I believe I read it right around the time it came out. I guess I gave it a 3. I thought I gave it a 2. I'm keeping it at a 3. I do think I liked it more the second time around. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, me formerly, the fully formed brain, it's been like 4 or 5 years, right, since I've read it. And so I think because of that, I, in general, have, like, the whole point of it, I get it more. I like it more. The whole thing is, it's like 2000, the year 2000. These two lesbian women, meet on essentially, the queer, can't think of the name of it now. I was thinking of it earlier. Craigslist, a queer Craigslist. One of them trying to sell an antique apple peeler. There's like this whole thing. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it's like, oh, when you start it, you know that the one who's selling the apple peeler is going to be dead by the end, right? And that the other one is on trial for it, right? Again, this is the early 2000s. And a lot of their emails and whatnot is what you're reading. It is very BDSM but horror, which is interesting, right? In which the one who's on trial essentially makes the other one do a bunch of things that are very questionable, starting with like wearing inappropriate outfits at work, and whatnot, and furthering upping the ante there, until she gets fired, and then they make a deal to be like, she becomes her submissive essentially, and then start doing stuff in that dynamic, but they never like meet in person, right? And then she tells her to kill a salamander, and it's this whole long scene, right? And she does it, but she hates it afterwards, and she's like, I can't be a part of this. Breaks up with her, and then a month passes, and she comes crawling back, and so then like she ups the ante even more. There's stuff with a tapeworm, being a parallel for a baby, which is weird because the salamander was also supposed to be a parody for a baby. Anyways, and then essentially as more and more happens, it is pushing the one who dies at the end more and more past her breaking point, to the point where she is going through it mentally. She's also not doing great health-wise, because again, tapeworm currently eating her alive. She won't take any of the meds, right? She's in constant pain because of it. right? The other one just keeps on letting stuff happen until she realizes it's gone too far and tries to break it off with her, and then she takes out her eye with the apple peeler. The end. 3 stars. Now, when I went to label it as currently reading, I did see a review, one of the top like reviews, right? It's a 2-star review where the reviewer explains that, I wonder if I could find it actually, so I can word it properly. I say if I can find it, it's literally right here. Actually, it's a 1-star review. Like listing off, it felt very mean-spirited because it just started listing off all these issues that this reviewer has with Eric LaRocca's writing, and I was like, I'm not feeling that, at least for the first one, blah, blah. But then the end, it says the characters are colorblind and barely behave or think like human beings, and you get visceral, icky descriptions without emotion. Also, the part that really hit me, and sure, their ideas are fine, but pretty much never logically thought through, becoming nonsensical and decidedly sloppy. I definitely clocked that with the other two. The second one, I'm gonna call The Shining, but make it religious. Which sounds so weird. Essentially, recently, scientists have found evidence that the afterlife not real. And it follows this recently separated, about to go through the divorce process, and their 17-year-old son, who is super religious, and on his birthday, takes himself out, literally crucifies himself. And his dying wish, that he wrote in his note, was that his parents stay together no matter what, right? And then, because of the trauma of this, the mother has become super religious herself. The father is trying to stay as far away from that as possible. They decides that they need something different, so he gets a job on, instead of in snowy mountains, it's on an island. It's on a deserted island, essentially, where they're the only ones living on this island, a hotel area that doesn't have any internet or phone service, and the electricity isn't working properly, because the storm that's really bad. But the water works, I guess. Also the gas stove, the knob sticks, and sometimes gas just comes out. That's important for later. Anyways, so they're on this island alone, right? Dealing with their trauma in different ways, but trying to stay together. But like, also, it is described later on that they haven't been together physically in like over a year. And it's very obvious because like, he tries to show physical affection by giving her a kiss on the head, and it's so awkward. Anyways, it's then suddenly a stranger shows up. Turns out, he, in a previous marriage that she knew about, he had a kid that she didn't know about, and this is the kid. Right? But he's also super religious. So then she starts going, oh, he's an angel actually, and doing all this stuff for him, trying to make his life so great, all this stuff, because she thinks that he has a message from her dead son. And then she gets pregnant, which is supposed to be a miracle baby because he's not supposed to be able to have kids anymore. There's also a whole thing where she kisses him and she thinks that he's an angel, and she kisses the son of her husband, right? And then she has a miscarriage, and breaks her ankle, and her husband keeps on calling her crazy for her religious notions, and she's grieving her son, and her unborn baby, and so all this stuff started to happen, at least like the weird pregnancy stuff and the ankle, and also like the storm has caused it, so it's been like over a month since resupplying has happened, so like they're out of gas, they've got no power, and they also have no food. She just had a miscarriage and she has a broken ankle. She needs medical help like immediately. So as you can imagine, she's going through it, and she starts going in the complete opposite spectrum, thinking this kid is actually a demon. So she tries to poison him, but accidentally poisons her husband, and then turns out she's a ghost and she died, but it may have been from the gas stove. We don't know. We don't know. And you know, because despite the fact that her husband spent his whole life, especially the past like year, really hating on religion and like really hating on her for every time she tried to talk about religion, right? He's able to go to heaven. The son's already in heaven. But somebody who believed wholeheartedly up until like, you know, a bunch of weird shit started happening on this island, and she's essentially stuck on an island with her husband who kind of hates her, and a man who she doesn't know, who she has religious notions about, and just lost a baby. She is a ghost that has to wonder. She has to wonder because she didn't believe hard enough at the end, I think. But like the husband never believed, so that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Also, I don't understand the gas stove stuff because it was insinuated that like they died from the gas stove actually, right? Like I think what it was insinuating is the first night, he was like, you left the gas stove on and I turned it off, right? And then that's when the kid shows up right after that, right? And so like I think it's insinuating that she did accidentally gas and kill them, and this whole thing has been like her going to heaven, and then something happened. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think it was her starting to be selfish because she wanted to care for the baby. Like, yeah, okay. And so because of that, her dreams of having a baby in heaven destroyed, and now she has a broken ankle, and her husband's still not believing her, and so now she's not allowed in heaven anymore. And that was the whole. It wasn't good. It makes no sense. I don't understand it. And then the third one, which is the shortest of all of them, is about this old gay man. The first and third are gay. Old gay man lives in this like cul-de-sac area, right? Husband, racist. They have a neighbor who's not white. And he's they're in the middle of a blizzard, so he's like shoveling his driveway, finds a random bone. It's got engraved in it 2 letters that happen to be the initials of the neighbor. So he goes to the neighbor and he's like, hey, what's up about this? And the neighbor keeps on talking about bets and threatens to kill him. And he keeps on continuously doing bets, and it's really weird and it makes no sense, and I'm very confused. And then essentially sends him back home, and he goes to this picnic where he sees this kid. I say kid, he's like 25 or something, who I think is supposed to be the younger version of him, who finds essentially the same exact bone. The end. I did not understand that one at all. I'm giving the whole thing 2 stars. The first one was good. Afterwards, no, which means just read that one. It's its own book. It's like 150 pages. It's its own thing. The end. That's my thoughts and opinions on this one. Now we get to talk about the one that I saved just for the end, which is Queer Little Nightmares. Because it's a short story collection. It's a longer short story collection. I think it's like somewhere between 350, 400 pages. So longer than this one was. Alright, and so my thought process was because, okay, let's be honest, sometimes for these, I extended the timer a little bit in order to finish the last book, because I feel weird finishing the video with a book like 75% finished, right? So I just extended an extra hour sometimes, or 2 or 3. But with finishing with a short story collection, it just finish the story I'm on the end, right? And then I can finish it in my own time, right? That's my thought process. That's why it's perfect for this. Thank you very much. That's my thought process. What is it about? I assume monsters. I don't know. I haven't checked. Here, I'll check in a second. First, I should mention I did do an average calculator of what the average rating of things I've gone since we last spoke and other misfortunes was, and it was like a 2.3 repeated. And so I just went 2. I didn't want to give it a 2.5. I didn't think it deserved it. If 2 out of 3 of them were 2 stars, it's gonna be 2 stars. Thank you very much. Especially since in the one that I rated 3 stars, I had read separately and also rated 3 stars, so people can just clearly see that I like that one. Okay, thank you very much. Queer Little Nightmares, is, as the title, suggests, a reimagining of monsters old and new through a queer lens. I'm expecting at least one of them to be about sirens. And listen, that's not because of the cover. Because I do see the cover right here. That's because, name one monster that's scarier than mermaids or sirens. I'll wait. I mean, I guess there's Mothman. But the Mothman is for the asexuals and non-binaries. I don't know how else to explain it, except every non-binary person I have met loved Mothman. And that's how I'm gonna leave that. I forget. There was a post I saw recently that was like, what each queer identity would be as a monster. And I don't remember what the bisexual one was, and I wish I remembered. Anyways, I hate the water, right? But nothing feels more gay than a mermaid to me. I don't understand. I'm not gonna explain it to you. Just know that's a thought in my mindset. Anyways, there's werewolves, a minotaur. I read a smart about a minotaur once. Lagoon creature. All that stuff. I wonder how many there are in here. You know what? I can find it on my Kindle and then I can tell you. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my god, Godzilla. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay. Cryptid is that Mothman. Why is Mark Ruffalo? I mean, I guess he turns into the Hulk, but dad movies. I think there's like 27, 28. Okay, I like stopped multiple times in the middle of counting to give commentary, but there's like 27, 28. And it's about 270 pages to 300, so that's about 10 pages each-ish on average. So that means I could easily stop, like, finish one before the timer ends and then end off, which is great because the rate that I was reading through it, literally, I just finished this book. I started remember the name of it. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke and other misfortunes. Despite the fact that it was fast paced, I guess it's technically longer than this one. But it's fast paced. And especially the first story because it's all in emails or instant messaging. It was very fast paced in that section. I was reading so slowly because my brain is running on fumes made out of Red Bull. Anyways, the end. I've been talking for 20 minutes. I should not be talking this long. I'm gonna go. Goodbye. Okay, technically we have 18 minutes left. But we'll just talk during that time. Because the next story is 24 minutes according to my Kindle. I got 27% of the way through. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember much of what I said in the last update, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned something about me going to hit a second wind of tiredness at around 7 a.m. That happened. I like started falling asleep as I was reading, so I had to get up and do stuff for like an hour. And then I had to feed the dog and walk the dog because that's our normal feeding and walking time. And I finally sat back down and read book. I don't know how many I read. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you something real quick. One, the poetry's good. The poetry is good. From what I can tell so far, it seems to be every other chapter is poetry or should we just set this up here? Poetry and then short story. Lovely, lovely. Thank you. So loud. Right in the condensation stains from my water. I'll just like hold the back of it. It's fine. So, that means that I have to get through, with one exception. There was one short story out of all the ones that I've read so far that I actually liked, right? And I have to spend it means that half these stories are poems. My brain's working. Which are going to be like 3 pages max, if that, right? Which means the average page length of the short stories are longer than I initially assumed, right? And then on top of that, I've liked one. Benefit is that it seems to have a large range of authors. I want to actually, I'm keeping my Kindle on because I want to see what was the ones that I didn't like. I'm gonna be honest, I thought I pulled up the right one, and I'm trying to read it, and I don't remember actively reading that one. Okay, we're gonna talk about the one I liked, because I have to look it up, because I don't remember where it takes place. But it's definitely not white. And that's the best short story. And then we'll also talk about my least favorite so far. Because I just have to talk about Hindu. Okay. So, if that tells you something, a vampiric spirit, that's cool, actually. Anyways, which is important because that creature is the Vitala, and it's called the Vitala song. Okay. It is about 2 women, in a culture where a woman kissing, big no. And they start a relationship. They were like friends beforehand. They started a relationship, all this stuff. And then they're just like walking on the street one day and eating figs, and one kisses the other one, and it's in public, so people know. The one who is richer is I think they're college friends, and they kind of become roommates. Their relationship starts because they have to share a bed because of a rainstorm, and then they start sharing a bed without clothes, and then more things happen. Anyways, so as you're reading this, we know the Vitala is the poorer of the 2, right? The richer one was sent home to her family, and then she was forced to marry this guy, moved to Canada, had a child, all that stuff, right? Meanwhile, who we know as the Vitala, who I hope I'm pronouncing right, is immediately disowned by the family, and because the family won't pay the literal, she's arrested for indecent exposure or something like that. Public indecency, that's what it is, because of the kiss, right? And so either it's paying a fine or going to jail, and they won't pay the fine. So she goes to jail, and then she's kicked out onto the streets where she is murdered. She is hate crime murdered, and she's given the option to be a wandering spirit, vampire creature, until her love comes back, and they can be one again. And so she's just wandering. She's just possessing dead bodies, wandering around, right, until it cuts back to like the beginning of the story where she has been following this outsider, this foreigner, who has come to essentially a temple to dump the ashes of her mother, and this is the daughter of the rich girl. Yep. And so because of this, she is able to take the ashes of her lover and eat them with figs, so they can be one, and both their spirits can move on. Really fucking good. It's the best one so far, by a long shot. I really liked it. Now we can talk about Nature's Mistake. Don't want to say what the David Demchuk. Listen, I did realized that one of the guys who edited it was named David. I was like, is it the same David? It's not. I just checked that. So this one, listen, this is the one that really shows that, despite the fact that there are 2 editors for this book, this one has a bunch of writing mistakes that are very easy to notice and should have been, like, clocked in, like, the first round of editing. How did this not get clocked? Like, there was the same sentence setup, like, 3 paragraphs in a row, and it wasn't supposed to be, like, this whole repetition thing. It was supposed to be, like, hey, this is how something was before, and now it's like this, and I'm just like, but in a certain way, and I was like, oh my god, it's 7 a.m., I've been up, at this point, officially 24 hours, somebody kill me. What is happening? Anyways, this one is about, a guy who keeps on having nightmares. So he's traveling with his boyfriend, maybe, roommate, maybe, friend, maybe, who is also occasionally having nightmares, but way less often, to this broken down circus, where the nightmares take place. Apparently, the main character, went there as a kid. I don't think we ever get his name. We get the friend's name, Ben, but we don't get his name, I don't think. He went there as a kid, so that's why he's having the nightmares. So he, for some reason, believes walking around and taking pictures of this rundown, broken down circus will fix his nightmares. I don't understand how that would fix it, but okay, sure, whatever. And he doesn't really have his memories from going here, so he's reliving it all as he's going through it. And eventually he gets this one area, and it keeps on, it's essentially just him going into new areas, Ben being all like, bitch, what the fuck, this is scary, like, this is unsafe, you could get tetanus, like, we should get the fuck out of here. Also, like, they're trespassing. And then he's all like, no, I'm gonna go a little further, you can stay out here. And then, like, 5 minutes later, Ben comes in even further, and then our main character goes a little further in. Is essentially that for like 20 pages. And then he reaches this one area that's for adults only, and he remembers he snuck in behind a bunch of, like, late teens when he was a kid, hiding behind their legs. And so he saw the creature in there as a kid, that was called Nature's Mistake. And so he goes in there, and before this, he had been just eating bugs. Like, in the car ride, there was, like, a caterpillar in the car, and he just slurped it down. And so he goes in there, and the creature's still alive, barely, still locked up, and the creature's like, free me. And the only way to free the creature is if they become one. So the creature vomits up bugs in his mouth that he eats, and then returns home with Ben, and then does it to Ben. The end. Trust me, the way I explained it was much more interesting, and it was so slow and annoying because it was so long, and I didn't understand why. It was not good. Anyways, yeah. I will finish it at some point this month, probably, because I am less than halfway through. I'm going to have it in my monthly wrap-up, so if you want to know my thoughts and opinions, check out that, but it's probably going to be a 3. It's probably going to be cut out evenly because it's like half poetry, half short stories, and I don't really like the poetry, and I don't really hate the short stories. And I don't know what to do for 7 minutes. Can we just cancel it? Can we just end it now? I'm just gonna sit here for 7 minutes as I wait, and then we'll just celebrate together afterwards. Okay, I've been sitting here for a minute, and I decided to read some of the next one, and I'm kind of liking it. What was it? Hashtag WWMD. I assume it means, what would Martha do? I don't know. Mermaids do. What would mermaids do? I'm guessing that because it's about how both sea otters and koi fish, but also there's like selkies, have gone crazy and kill people now. Honestly, I'm fine with being killed by an otter. Anyways, it's a bit about the part that's happened is this super hot, like, Instagram hot guy just sat down next to him at the end of the dock, and he's like, hear me out? What the fuck? Nobody looks like that in real life. Like, this is uncanny, this is unreal, get out of here, right? But also shortly before this, there was this whole quote that I actually liked. I know. I have a suspicion that this person is also not white. I'm just gonna say there is a lot of Asian mentioned stuff, especially Toronto. I know Toronto has a lot of somewhat large Asian community, so and there was a bunch of stuff mentioned there, so I was like, maybe. Anyways, there's this whole quote about also feeling not human and feeling like they're one of those beings close enough to look human, enough to be fuckable at least, but not enough to be granted humanity, and how humans always want to fuck monsters, which is so funny as somebody who has read Monster Smut. And then also goes into A Shape of Water, in which it also goes, good for Sally Hawkins. The way I watched that movie when I was like 16, I don't think I should have watched that movie. Crimson Pink though. Crimson Pink. Hell yeah. I think that's my favorite Del Toro movie. Second place is Pacific Rim. Third place is the Forever Lost Hobbit movie. I'm just sitting here for a minute. I guess I gotta read them flirt awkwardly. It's kind of cute, actually. I'm kind of liking it. Imagine me complaining this whole time about how long the stories are, and also how boring they are, and how poorly written they are, and then this one is actually done well. It's quite annoying. I want to look up the author. Oh, they use they, them, and is indigiqueer. I can't pronounce that. We did it. Author. And drag queen. Iconic. Anyways, yeah. Of course. The second one I like, I'm not even annoyed that it's 22 minutes to finish this one. I'm probably gonna go read it while the melatonin kicks in, because that takes a half hour, right? Of course, that one is also written by a non-white person. I did low-key guess. I went again. I'm catching the theme here. Especially with the short stories. Anyways, I forgot to bring up this one other aspect, which is the whole aspect of why Queer Little Nightmares and whatnot. There was like a whole introduction that was like 10 pages long, if that. And didn't go into it like I wanted. It barely touched it. Like, if that's something you want, I prefer it came from the closet. That's much better. It's a short story collection by queer people about their love for horror and why horror and monsters are important to queer people and all this stuff. That one was better written in general and better edited in general. But that one took longer. That one took more effort to read. This one's taking so little effort because some of it's not good, so I'm just breezing through it. You know how it is sometimes. Anyways, stuff that is done. I didn't write down what page I got to in this, so I can tell you how many pages I read during all this. I don't actually know how many pages I read during all this. I can tell you in a second. 64. That's what page I got to. I do want to tell you the update of how behind all my challenges are. It's June. Can't wait for the end of month graphics where I get to be like, oh yes, I read. The most amount I read was on this specific day because I did this video. Okay, that was not where the test was supposed to go. I'm gay and also I am tired. I am not doing math. Over 1,000 pages, 1,123 pages plus 49 audiobook minutes. That was Hungerstone. That was me DNFing Hungerstone. Challenges. I don't remember. I think So the screenshot I saved was of Goodreads, and usually Storygraph is like one more than that. If I were to pull up Goodreads right now, I'm willing to bet it says I'm 40 behind. And I can see Storygraph says 41. So, yeah, exactly. So if we're going off of Storygraph statistics, I was 44 behind, and now I'm 41 behind. Apparently, overnight when I didn't sleep, I got behind by another one. That's fine. That's fine. And I have less than 5,000 PHs behind. I was 5,500 when I remembered to bring it up. I think it was like 5,507 to be exact. And when I checked before I did, things have gone worse since we last spoke in other misadventures. It was still slightly above 5,000 because the change of day, but now it's at 4,911 pages. Let's go. And I'm still so far ahead of my audiobook. We don't need to talk about that one. That was funny. Anyways, stuff. I DNF'd a book that I don't know why I picked up, but let's be honest, I guess it's a good thing to know that it wasn't my thing. I started a short story collection. I read a book that had been on my TBR for so long, Feeling of Falling in Love, that I was so scared to read and ended up loving. Also bonus, because it was the last book I needed to read for the Trans Readathon, whatnot. So that's done. I kept on putting that specific book off. You know how many times I re-borrowed that book from the library because I kept on putting it off. I read a sapphic book that I have owned for who knows how long, at least multiple years. So that's fun. Love that. Reread the next book in the Muderbot Diaries. I want to read the next one so bad. Listen, I do have another video I could fit the third one into. I'm not. What if I do that? I did already download it. What if I do that? Anyways, we love our genderless robot. And then I read a pretty mid to bad horror collection. That was like only 3 stories because one of them was a novella in itself. And that was the best one. And the other 2 were not good. I also could have done with more editing. I guess the moral of the story is the 2 short story collections or anthologies I've read needed more editing, which is not normally an issue I have with them, but that's fine. I'm fine with that. And that's everything. That's the roundup. Whoa. I think if I had to pick a favorite, I think it'd be The Feeling of Falling in Love, even though I did love Artificial Condition. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't love Artificial Condition as much as the first book. And The Feeling of Falling in Love was honestly a surprise. Like, I don't know why I didn't trust Mason Deaver. Mason Deaver, I had to trust them with my soul, okay? I had to trust them to get me through a reading experience of something that I don't want to read. Like, they're able to write grief and panic attacks in such a way that I can still read them and want to, like, crawl into a ball myself. And most books written about topics that I don't want to read about like that, I have issues where I can't get through them, but I can get through Mason Deaver's because I trust Mason Deaver and getting me through them. That's moral of the story. Read Mason Deaver. The end. What if it is my favorite of the month? There's a possibility. I'm just saying. Currently, it is the winner, if we say that. Because the only other book I read this month was the Priest Smut I read. We don't need to talk about it. It's a whole video. We don't talk about it. I think I also rated that one 4 stars. I don't want to think about what that says about me. Anyways, end of video stuff. I'm wearing pajama pants. Okay, I gotta just chug a bunch of water because my voice is dying from doing this. Anyways, end of video stuff. Me Twitch. I was gonna stream the whole time I was doing this, but then my computer was acting up this morning. We talked about this. No, not this morning. Yesterday morning, because it's been 24 hours. Anyways, Yeah, so, but that's the thing. I stream on Twitch, link below. I'm speaking of Twitch, Wednesdays are slightly edited down gaming videos. Currently on my Subnautica streak. That's what the rest of June's gonna be for those. I know that already. I haven't even edited the last one. I know that's how it's going to line up. Next week is another secret smut video. I think I hinted at it, with the Chuck Tingle of it all. I'm just gonna leave that information there. You know, so that's gonna be a fun time. And I think that's it. Those are on Saturdays. The end. I'm going to try to read the rest of this one story, as my melatonin slowly kicks in, and then I'm gonna put all my sleep lotions on, and I'm gonna take Benadryl because that's the thing. I couldn't take Benadryl last night because of this, and my eyes are burning. And I'm gonna put on common music, maybe on the TV, and I'm gonna go to fuck to bed. Good night.